The following podcast is an RMG Media production.
Welcome to the Renaissance Podcast, a podcast for Renaissance women
and men
who want to create a modern-day Renaissance in their life and business.
We interview some of the most successful entrepreneurs and share their unique stories.
Are you ready to create your Renaissance? Well, and we're just going to have girlfriend chat because that's what the Renaissance Podcast is. It's really just where I get to connect with my favorite women that we're too busy to connect in real life. So we schedule and we do the outlet calendar scheduling, and then we get together and we get to have like an hour talking.
I love that.
We get to go all over the place, but we get to catch up.
Yeah.
And you're someone that's been hard to catch up with.
Yes.
You've had a little thing birthed.
And just a small thing.
Yeah. And an Amazon best-selling book.
International.
Excuse me. I knew I was missing a word. International best-selling Amazon book, Service and Soul.
Yeah.
Okay. And you were just saying off air, which I love to pull the off air on air. You're like, it hasn't hit me yet.
I haven't felt it yet. And that's just because it's been so go, 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 go. I told my assistant this morning, I said, if you weren't here pushing me, I would be in bed all day. And that's why I hired you. That's exactly why I hired her, because she's like, you know, time's of the essence. Everything is like out. Number one, we need to like ride this wave and get the tour schedules and workshops scheduled and all these things. I'm like, but I don't want to.
Man, I relate to that so hard. How do you go when you don't want to go? What do? You just go.
I just go. And ironically, I write about that in the book, how you should not do that. But this is a season, so I definitely don't recommend doing it all the time, but it is something that I'm just in right now with the publicity around the book and everything. It's just, I got to just do it. And a lot of that is essentially just that one step at a time. So it's kind of like when your house is disgusting, you're like, I don't even know where to start cleaning. You just start by picking up one sock, and then you pick up the second sock, and then eventually you have a clean house. So that's where I'm at right now.
But you also are someone that you've had decades of having to navigate new seasons.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time. I actually was just listening to another podcast that I was on. I always like to re-listen to them. And I thought, wow, girl, you've been through a lot. You've done a lot. I've shifted a lot. When something that I share in the book, I went through a divorce at 31 and had no resume, no job skill. I had a degree in marketing, but print marketing, which we don't do a ton of anymore. And so I was just like, yeah, I'm pretty screwed. What am I going to do? And that's when I started real estate. I was hired on by two agents that used me as their assistant. I learned a ton and then started my own business, Jenna Griffith, which was incredible. I had so much fun doing that. Lost that during COVID and thought, well, I know real estate. Let me go back to real estate. And then earlier this year, when I figured out I know exactly what I want to do with my life, I hired the coaches, I joined the mastermind groups, I hired the publishers and the publicists, and that's what got me where I am right now. And it's just a whirlwind. And actually, you were at the table when I said to Brielle, I know once I hire you, it's just going to explode. And it has. Like, that's exactly what happened. And it was one of those ready or not, pull a Band-Aid off, let's just go, let's just do this. So.
Wow, Jenna, that's like chill giving. I'm going to see Brielle later and I'm going to share this with her. So much to unpack there. So you were married for 10 years and then divorced 10 years in.
Yeah.
That's crazy. because
I'm so young.
Yeah. Yes. And I'm looking at you. You are so young and you are so beautiful and you are so accomplished. And you've lived so much freaking life in such a short margin of time.
Yeah, I can actually give a Cliff Notes in about 3 minutes. And even then, it feels like it's not real. And that's why I had that longer podcast episode where I really went into detail with the host about my experience as a military spouse. And I just thought, wow, I help women do inner child healing and do reflection meditations and things like that. And when I get to do that, it's just incredible. And to be able to learn how to talk to that younger self and be like, you did it. You made it through that. You didn't think you were going to, but you made it through, and look where you are now, and just enjoy this. Just soak this in. I remember at the book launch party, I told myself, soak it in. Make sure you look at every single face when you're talking. Make sure you remember every person that is here right now, because it flashes by. It's like a wedding. It flashes by, and then you're like, oh, I didn't get to say hi to, so-and-so. So I'm just trying to soak it in.
Soak it in. Yeah. And I feel like all the life that you've lived and all the things that you've gone through, you've probably, that's been a lesson that you've learned. Like, soak in those moments, because in any time they can change for the good or for the bad.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So obviously there's so much to the story. There's so much to the book, but I'm mostly curious. I was driving to the office today. I was like, I really just want to ask Jenna, like, what was the moment that made you realize this was your true purpose? Because it hasn't been very long, it seems like, that you've been doing this. I mean, I flashed back to Tennessee Women Connect a year ago. I don't even think I knew.
No, I didn't know.
You didn't know a year ago?
I didn't.
Wow. That is wild, because when you look at Jenna now, you look at you on social, you're so in alignment. It feels, and I see it.
Yeah.
And you're so in your you. And it's like so beautiful to watch, because it just feels, from an outside perspective, someone that maybe doesn't have this intel would think, oh, she's been doing that for decades. This is the third book. That's what it looks like. And that's so like and I really want to like lean into that, because I think that so many people so badly want that alignment. They so badly want that path for them that was just God divine, made for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely did. So I'll share how this all happened. Last year was a really rough year for me. I lost my father and my grandfather in a few months, and I was just in a pit emotionally. I was drinking a ton. I was on the couch a lot. I really was in that true mourning, mindset. And I had a girlfriend in mid-December say, hey, I'm going to do 75 hard. Do you want to do it with me? And I was like, that's a hard pass. Definitely have no interest in doing that.
What is that?
Do you know what that is? Okay. 75 hard is a mental and physical challenge. It's 75 days, and you have to do 6 certain things every single day for 75 days consecutively. You have to drink a gallon of water. You have to do 2 45-minute workouts non-consecutively, and one has to be outside. You have to read 10 books or 10 pages of a nonfiction book. You have to take a progress picture every day. And I think that's it. I may have missed one. But so
no alcohol.
Oh, no alcohol.
I knew that was coming. I knew it. I was like, there's no way this is a no alcohol thing.
No alcohol. I was like, I'm forgetting something.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she said that. And I said, no, thank you. I have no interest in doing that, because I did bodybuilding. I don't know if you knew this, but I did bodybuilding for a long time. And I didn't want to go through that lifestyle. So fast forward, I spend New Year's weekend with some family. And I mean, we tore it up. And I just woke up and I was like, I hate this. I hate the way I feel. I hate what I'm doing. I'm eating horrible food. I just hate it. So on January 3rd, I texted her and I said, are you still doing that? Let's do it. And so I did do it. I completed all 75 days.
Wow.
Yes.
That's I feel like needs to be a whole other podcast episode, because I'm very interested in that.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely share about that. But when I committed to doing that, I said, well, if I'm going to be doing this mind shift challenge, essentially, I'm going to learn something. I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to try something I've never tried before. And I'm going to commit 2023 to financially investing in myself and figuring out what I want to do. So I learned how to stock trade in 90 days. I did a 90 days to trade class with Real Life Trading. It's amazing. I'm not getting paid to say that. I hired a coach. I joined a really great mastermind group that I'm still in called G-Force. And we do, the first 12 weeks is just a quick 12 weeks. Let's get this business rolling. And I went in not knowing what business I was going in for, but I thought, you know what? I'm just putting it all out there. I'm going to just trust and have faith that I'll figure it out. And a few weeks into that, my husband and I did a divine relationship retreat, which was incredible. It was so good. And there was a woman in the class with us, and as I got to know her, she's like, yeah, and I'm a publisher. And I said, I've always wanted to write a book. She said, you should come to my #1 bestselling boot camp. I'm doing it in a couple weeks in California. And I was like, well, okay. I said I was going to say yes. Like, let's go. Let's do this. And of course, you're thinking, what have I experienced? What can I teach? What is something that women, I've always wanted to help women. You know, even when I did Jenna Fit, I was helping women with body image and weight loss trauma. So I knew I wanted to work with women. And I also thought, what have I experienced that I can coach on? And that is coming out of a pit. That's resiliency. That's entrepreneurship. That's healing and health. I know those things. That is not a new thing for me. So I wrote my book in 6 days at this best-selling boot camp. I mean, sun up to sundown. I'm in one of her guest rooms, completely shut in there by myself, pacing, writing. She gave us like huge poster boards, and we would just dump, whatever. And then we would kind of strategically plan the poster boards in an order. And a lot of people are like, how did you do it so quickly? I voice talked a lot of it, which meant a lot of typos. And yeah. So I wrote the book originally for real estate agents.
Yeah. And this was this year?
February. I was writing the book for real estate agents to find work-life balance, because I had worked with so many agents that were so overworked and so overstressed because they didn't have boundaries. And I got a lot of slack because I would say, like, no, I'm not working at that time. Or I'd have my do not disturb. I'm like, real estate's 24/7. I was like, maybe for you, but not for me. Like, I have to have boundaries or I will explode. And on my mastermind retreat, the book is still like not completely finished at this time. This is in April. I'm meeting with my coach. I'm like, yeah, the book's going to be for realtors. She looked at me and she said, no. I was like, what do you mean no? She said, you're not passionate about real estate. Why on earth would you write a book that's about real estate? I was like, yeah, but they have money and they'll spend it, because the book leads to the workshops, which leads to the mastermind, which leads to the retreats. Like, it's all strategically planned in that way. And she said, as long as I've known her almost 3 years. She said, as long as I've known you, you've always been passionate about military wives and the wives of the first responder community, which is true. And I was like, yeah, but they don't feel like they can treat themselves. They don't feel like they can do things that are just for them. And she looked me just straight in the eye and said, you and I both know that if God puts a purpose on your heart, he will provide the rest for you. And I do believe that. He's walked me through many, many trials. And I said, okay, I've got to rewrite a few things.
Got a little more work to do.
Got a little more work. And that was also in my head, selfishly. I thought, but I'm so close to being able to put it into the first round of editing. Now I have to scrape all of the real estate stories, is really what it was, put in my military stories. And it didn't take me that long, actually, but I decided to do that. And people are coming out of the woodwork. It's been insane. And as you know, viewers won't know, but my husband is a first responder with aerial recovery. They repurpose veterans. So what better community to tap into? And they have a lot of relationships with other veteran-run nonprofits. So I get to talk and meet with these CEOs of other veteran groups. And like, just curious, what do you all offer the spouses?
Nothing.
We want to. We don't have anything. We absolutely believe in the families. We'd love to have something for the, and I'm like, interesting. Let me get your card because I have something for you.
Wow.
Then with Service and Soul, I started an online community for us to just come together. We have weekly soul sessions. Love it. Yes. And we just share. It's not like a presentation. It's not like on this week's episode. We just show up and share wins and takeaways from the week before. And if we need to process through anything, share anything with the group, we can do that too.
Wow.
It's really cool.
What are the most common things that the women share in the group that you would say?
They feel second, and they have for a long time. As I said, a lot of the wives that are in the group, their husbands have gone through the Heal the Heroes program with Aerial Recovery, which is an incredible program. They take 25 veterans every quarter through a 5-day intensive healing and then 12 weeks of mentorship after that, just to get into their purpose, because a lot of them get out and have no clue what they want to do. And so some of their wives are in my Service and Soul group. And I had this wife just say, I'm so grateful that he got to have that experience. And he's like a completely different person, just so amazing. And then she just starts to cry and she was like, but now I feel left behind. And I was like, help is, Miss Doubtfire. I'm like, help is on the way, dear. Help is on the way.
You're just like sprinting with your book.
I got you. Yes. I'm like, we got to get this book out. No. But that is the number one thing, because they go through the service, or serve behind their service member for 10, 15, 20 years. And then they're like, what was all that for? I've not done anything. Some have. Most have not. They're starting their careers now at 40, almost 50 years old, and they feel behind. Mm-hmm. And I know that I felt that way at 31 when I got divorced. I thought, I have nothing. I'm too late. It's too late to be successful. But then you get inspired by the stories of, I can't think off the top of my head, but I've heard a lot of stories about athletes and, famous actors who didn't even start their career till they were in their 40s or 50s. And the time's going to go by anyways.
So how do you guide women on having those hard conversations with their spouses about like, hey, I think it's time for me. I think it's my time. I think I have this vision, or I don't have a vision, but I have the want to do for me. Yeah. Like, how do you guide women through that? Because I think that can work in a lot of scenarios for our listeners that aren't military or first responder, in that realm, but just, I want more for me. And, I think obviously if it's a great husband, he's going to be like, yes, sis, let's go. But that can be an interesting dance, especially with him being the breadwinner and the childcare thing and all of that, if you have kids in the mix. But what are your tips for that?
Well, I like to coach. It's in the book too, about the difference between being selfish and being selfish, because we as women in general struggle, especially as mothers, with feeling selfish or feeling guilt because we still have dreams. And we love our kids, but we still have our dreams. We still have our visions and our goals. But what the biggest thing is just being clear. And a lot of women aren't, just like I wasn't. So what helped me find what that was doing a eulogy exercise that my coach had taken me through. And I know it sounds like really cryptic, but it's such a simple exercise. It takes 10 minutes. You're not supposed to think about it. So it's not like something you prepare for. You just start writing what you want people to say about you when you pass away. So relationship-wise, financially? How did you affect the community? Health-wise, things like that. So you write all these things out, and then you start to see a common theme. For mine, it was fortification. I've always felt that way. I want to strengthen relationships. I want to strengthen friendships. I want people to feel strong within themselves. And when you can sit there and look at that aerial view of what you want your legacy to be, then you can work backwards and say, okay, if I want to, like one of my things in my eulogy is I want to be able to really impact the autism community because of my children who are autistic, to have almost like a co-living space for autistic adults to still find their independence, because a lot of them really can't live on their own, but they're still independent enough to do certain things. And so in order for me to do that, here's what I need to do in the next 5 years, and then the next year, and then this quarter, and then this month, and then this week and day. And that's what helped with the book as well. I thought, okay, by 2024, I want to be able to have a minimum of 2 groups of wives, so that's 50 women, go through a sister program of Heal the Heroes. I want to take them on the 5-day retreat, and I want to be able to coach them for that 12 weeks, and they're not going to put a penny towards it. It's going to be completely paid for by someone else. So what do I need to do in 2023 to have that for 2024? Well, I need to create the program. The book, obviously, is the brochure for that. And now just presenting to these other organizations what we can provide these wives, and also help them understand how much stronger the family unit is when the wife is healed. The wife has trauma too. She was a silent soldier for however many years. And with my husband's work with the veterans, my work with the spouses, we really believe that if you have a healed hero and a healed spouse, you will have a healed family.
It's really, really amazing. Wow. How are you so driven? Like, you are such a driven person, and you're so consistent with your drive, which I think is really amazing. And I think women listening can probably be like, oh, but I want to do that thing. But like, gosh, she just seems so in her zone about it. Like, how are you this way? Have you always been this way?
No. I got a lot of it from my mother, to be completely honest. She's exactly the same, super driven, very successful. And actually my sisters as well. I'm one of 3 daughters, and both of my sisters are very successful, driven women. So we definitely inherited that from mom, who inherited it from, her family. I wasn't always like this. I am the middle child. I am the rebel. I like to stretch all of the boundaries that I possibly can. And most of my life, up until my divorce, I was very unreliable, selfish, unclear, immature, everything. I mean, I was a mom at 18, got married at 21, had a micro preemie at 23, and the list goes on. All these things before I was even 30. I was just a robot. I was in survival mode. Looking back, I'm really proud that I handled it the way that I did. Could it have been better? Of course, with knowledge, it could have been better. But when I was a single mom again at 31, I had no choice but to have drive and focus. But what I learned was, when it was for things that were for me, and things that I enjoyed doing, like I enjoyed doing real estate. I enjoy working with women. So it was easy for me. It was fun for me. And when you, like back to the eulogy exercise, when you are clear on what you want people to know you for, it's easy. You're just so excited. If I don't write this book, how many thousands of women are going to still be searching for purpose. That's kind of how I look at it. If I don't create these workshops, how many women will find themselves completely lost still at 60 years old? I have an opportunity. That's what I think about. I think about, what if someone did that for me? What if there was a woman that was before me that created this? What if she wasn't driven and I never received this gift?
That's amazing. And it's just like those moments of what is lighting the fire for me. That's what's really what I'm hearing is driving you. Like, what is lighting me up, and like go towards that.
Yeah. Well, people, a lot of coaches talk about a strong why, like have your strong why. And it's really bigger than that. Your why needs to be so big that you can drive through walls with it. It's just so incredible. You're like, I can just break through cement walls because I'm so passionate about this thing. But having a team changed everything. I did everything before, like my Jenna Fit and everything. I built my website. I ran the funnels. I recorded the videos. I built the courses. And I mean, I was completely
burned out.
It was so bad. When I decided to do Service and Soul this year, my coach was like, okay, and then we'll talk about courses. I'm not doing a course. I mean, I cut her off. I was like, I'm not doing courses.
But you knew that was not your thing.
I'm not doing courses. And she said, well, okay, why? And I was like, it's too hard. It takes too long. She said, well, why would you be doing it? And that's what I write in my book too. We have so many different gifts, all of us. So for example, my assistant thrives in that. She loves that type of work. And it took me time because I don't like that type of work. And so it was like, well, then I just won't do it. But I hired her. She keeps me all the back end, including my house stuff, taken care of. I hired someone to do my website. I hired someone to do my socials. I hired someone to help me learn how to speak and share my story. And it is exploding from there. You really do need that tribe. If there's anyone listening that's feeling that burnt out, it's worth investing in the tribe.
Totally. It's like, align on the why, build the tribe. Like that's
100%.
it. Like, and then your team will feel aligned because you're like, you guys, this is the mission. This is the goal because this is the mission. And so we all got to be like, we here always say like Renaissance is just a big boat, and we have skippers, we have captains, and we have the sail people. I don't know all the titles, but it really takes all of it to get us just going. And it's so true. And delegation is absolutely everything to run any successful organization. So that's amazing. Well, without giving us all the juice and the tips of every single thing, kind of give us like a little bit of the framework of how you help women align with their why.
Well, I told you we do a lot of reflection type exercises. So there's some of those in the book. And it really starts with acknowledgement, and then that reflection. Okay, this is what it has been. That's where we don't want to go back to. That's what we don't want. And then I give tools of different ways to find what you want. So the eulogy exercise, meditation, coaches, masterminds. Like I really go into detail because when I started getting, I'll say, into it, I didn't know what those things were. I wanted women to know that there's more than just one option. There's more than just one life coach, or maybe it's a Reiki healer that you want, or maybe it's a mastermind group with more people, just to try to give a different explanation of what the options are. And then we go into my favorite part of the book. I'm not going to give too much of it away. Mm-hmm. It is so good. When my life and relationships changed was when I learned about the different levels of femininity. And a lot of people explain it in different ways. I teach it as I was taught, that it's the little girl, the princess, the queen, and the divine queen. And what I share about the different levels, what they all show up as. But when you learn those, you can't, I even say, I'm like, I'm warning you, once you know this, you can't not know it. You no longer have an excuse to say that's just the way I am. We're the way we are because of our experiences and our trauma and the piece of our femininity that shows up in those situations. But when we have awareness around the different levels, we can call in those higher levels, the queen. So for example, if you said something offensive to me, I could respond as a princess and be like, what was that supposed to mean? Or I can rise into my queen and say, I want to make sure I didn't misunderstand you because that kind of threw me off a little bit. Are you saying fill in the blank? The reason that's so powerful is because we do it within ourselves too. All of the limiting beliefs, the self-sabotage, those intrusive thoughts that we have are those different levels of feminine showing up. And the little girl and the princess are created in that childhood trauma zone. And they're just there to show up and stand up and protect you. And when you can channel in the queen to say, thank you, princess, for protecting me for all. I look back on my first marriage, the divorce, everything.
Princess.
Covered
in it.
Drowning in it. And in fact, when I learned about these, I was with my husband. They did the masculine and feminine. And I was like, babe, everything about the king just totally made me think of you. And you're just like such a king. And he was like, then, I mean, we just did the masculine first and we had a little break. And then we did the feminine. And he was like, I definitely see a lot of princess. And I was like, excuse me? I was offended.
Right, you were princessing.
I was so offended.
You're like, well.
But then as I, got more, I was like, oh, yeah. A queen wouldn't have reacted that way.
So then what's the work that we do to get to our queen?
Well, you got to do a lot of inner child work. And that takes consistency. That takes a commitment. It's scary. I'm not going to lie. It's not something that you're going to do in 20 minutes and be like, boop.
Yeah, I'm a queen.
I'm a queen now. It takes time because you're going to be in situations. You're going to have conversations. You're going to get the insulting things where your go-to is princess and your go-to is like, what? And then you have to acknowledge that, take that pause and be like, sorry, what did you say? And a lot of people can confuse the princess and the queen because I know you've heard women say this. It's totally a defense mechanism. Be like, well, I don't care what anyone thinks about me. I'm just going to do me, do my life. That's princess. That is not a queen.
Sounds queen.
It sounds like it could be.
Not.
Yes, queen.
Yes, queen.
No.
Do you, sister?
No.
And it's like, no.
That's princess written all over it.
It's like it's a maturity piece too.
A
And
queen doesn't need to tell people she's a queen.
that's a Renaissance woman that we also call a queen.
Yeah.
Love that.
They just know it, and people know it. People are drawn to the queen.
You're such a queen.
Oh, well, thank you.
And your husband calls you that. I've seen it on Instagram.
Yes.
I love it. He's good.
It definitely came from that. Well, that whole experience was such a great growth opportunity that I'm so glad that I took, because our relationship has changed so much because we gave each other permission to say, for him to say to me, can I talk to the queen for a second? I'm like, oh, and it's hard. You feel the princess. The princess
comes
is,
up.
Yes, that princess is a physical, need to
Protect. And to defend. And
yes,
it's like kind of, and to your husband, I feel like the easiest person to princess out on.
oh my gosh. 100%.
You're like, well, I can be a princess too, because, well, I am a princess, but I'm also a queen.
Yes.
Don't you forget it.
Yeah. There's appropriate times for the princess,
Right.
But mostly you want to stay and the queen isn't always like, yes, I know. Life is great. It's okay you hurt my feelings.
Right.
I'm a queen. No, the queen will call you out. She just does it in a really loving way.
I love this practice. This is
amazing.
all in the book.
It's all in the book.
Okay. So I love the book because I really feel like you don't have to be military going like this is very relatable to really any woman.
Yes, I've niched it to military first responders because that's what I've experienced and can really speak more to. But the book is for every woman. Every woman can read this book. It's not about the military. It just shares my story in the military. But yeah, it's just been I cannot believe it's here, first of all. And it's just been such a labor of love this entire year. I've had an amazing team help with editing and design. I mean, the cover, Chelsea did an incredible job. She sent me 17, to choose from. 17.
That's a lot.
And she was like, I have some for you to choose from. I opened the email and I'm just weeping. I'm like, they're so beautiful.
How do I choose? What a fun process though. Yeah. And you gotta be so proud, Jenna, because this is monumental. I feel like this is the first of many.
Yeah.
And just the very beginning of your chapter. And it's already been like, it's been insane. So yeah. I'm so proud of you. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, last kind of follow questions. Maybe you're going to know. What are you most proud of this year? And you can say this. Or give it. Okay. How about one professional thing you're proud of and one personal thing you're proud of?
This year have really stepped into the woman I was meant to be. I feel so proud about that. I feel that knowing I'm exactly where I need to be, helping the people I'm supposed to help, and surrounded by the people that I'm supposed to be surrounded by. I've not felt that before, and that feels so incredible. And professionally, obviously, my book, I'm so proud of it, and it is still the beginning for us in Service and Soul. And I'm excited to see all the women that will come together and feel safe and feel seen and feel heard like never before.
So good. Okay. Last question. What is your definition of a Renaissance woman?
Someone who is willing to put in the work to find out who she is. To not be afraid to step into that fear and understand that the journey is part of the process.
Yeah. And put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's the work.
Yeah.
I mean, your entire existence has been work and working on you mentally, physically, emotionally, professionally, and just constantly working that muscle.
That's what I'm glad you said all of those, because it's not just about the physical, professional work. You need to do the personal work too.
Yeah.
You need that for you. It's not for anybody else. It's just for you.
And what I'm finding is that when you go on a journey for your dreams that, are often your career, like at the same time that you're committing to those, you're fully committing to a personal growth journey that will really make or break you, I've spent plenty of days this year just in tears, like, what am I doing? No one's going to read this. Why am I even wasting my time? Those thoughts come back in. Yes. And that's what you need your tribe for. My husband would just look me right in the eye and say, that is not true. A lot of things I've taught with my kids when they're going through something, I'm like, okay, let's focus on what is true. And he is able to do that with me. So he's like, well, what is true? What's true is we've met with veteran organizations who need this for their spouses. What's true is you're holding soul sessions and women are telling you, thank you for this group. Thank you that I have a place now to come and share these experiences. That's what is true. If you can continue to say, okay, what is true? And as small as it is, what is true? Okay, I can breathe. What is true? My heart is still beating in my chest. If you start that small, it just brings up the momentum of gratitude. It's just a really great way to, practice gratitude even deeper. I've never heard it so well articulated on this entire podcast. that every single person I've had on this show is a majorly successful woman, and we all struggle with imposter syndrome, and we all struggle with disbelief, self-doubt, the whole nine, insecurities, all of it. We don't deserve to be where we are. Why is anyone hiring us? No one's going to hire us, whatever it is. And leaning into what you just said, that's so rich. That's so good. Do that exercise. Write it out if you're a visual person. Talk it out with your spouse. Talk it out with your bestie, your business partner, whatever. What is true? What do we know is true? And then everything else, sure, we'll work on those things.
Yeah, because right in that particular moment, I could not say, what's true is no one is reading my book.
It's false news at that point.
False news.
So it's like.
But that helps, a lot of people will say, oh, we'll just think something better. I'm like, screw that. It never works.
And I like this too, because it's if you're more of the realist person that's a little less wanting to be woo-woo gratitude all day, this kind of forces you to be that way
real.
Through fact.
It's real.
It's real. I love that. I'm going to share that with my team because we just go through it when you have those weeks and it's hard, and business is so hard. It is so hard. And we're in a weird season and we're in a weird economy, and there's a lot more doubt, I think, right now than there's been in a while. And so I think leaning into the truths and the fact and what is real and own those things and let those tell the story.
Yes.
Versus the other way. Okay, what a beautiful way to wrap. Where can everyone get Service and Soul, the #1 best-selling international Amazon?
Yes, get it on Amazon. And also I've had people, buy it in bulk for their organizations because it really is great for every woman. And also serviceandsoul.com.
And where can we find you on Insta? Because you're a great follow.
I am Miss Jenna Griffith, MS Jenna Griffith, not in.
Got it. Griffith. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You're amazing. And I'm so grateful and so proud of you. And I hope everyone goes out and gets Service and Soul.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.